Hello, and thank you for joining me. My name is Jennifer Green, and today I will be discussing universal design for learning and how to use this framework to aid in the creation of equitable and inclusive online courses. It's pretty obvious to most people who have taught or taken an online class. They're not made for everyone. There's a lot of evidence now that pandemic related effects and the shift to online learning, in combination with existing inequities, has resulted in increased challenges for broad swaths of learners. This has left many educators wondering how to improve their online courses to create more welcoming and equitable spaces where all learners are able to thrive. Universal Design for Learning, or UDL, can be part of the solution. UDL is a broad body of work based on brain science. It's an outgrowth of universal design principles, where the idea is to produce spaces and products that are accessible to people with a wide range of abilities and other characteristics. Application of these principles makes spaces and products more usable by everyone, not just those at the margins. UDL provides methods that can be readily used in learning spaces, and in this short training, we will discuss UDL and how it can be applied in the online classroom. First, let's spend some time getting to know UDL. UDL provides a framework for educational practice where it is assumed that learners come into the classroom with a wide range of abilities, backgrounds, and motivations. The purpose of using UDL is to serve all students by reducing pervasive barriers and increasing access to ensure that all learners have fair and equal opportunities. UDL aims to support all students on their journey to academic mastery. As I said before, UDL is based on brain science. In fact, it is built on a three-network model of learning, and in the next slide, we will delve into this a bit. In the UDL model, learning is understood to occur across three main networks in the brain. While we know that most people learn through these three networks, there is, of course, incredible diversity in these networks across individuals. Recognition networks enable us to identify and understand information, ideas, and concepts. It can be thought of as the what of learning, and in the UDL framework, we use the term representation when talking about recognition networks. Strategic networks enable us to plan, execute, and monitor our actions. It can be thought of as the how of learning, and in the UDL framework, we use the terms action and expression when talking about strategic networks. Effective networks enable us to engage with the world and generate emotional responses. This can be thought of as the why of learning, and in the UDL framework, we use the term engagement when talking about effective networks. Because there is diversity in these networks across individuals, it makes sense that educators need to provide variety and flexibility in course material to allow all learners to utilize their own unique brain networks effectively and efficiently. Doing so will have the immediate effect of reducing barriers and increasing access, while ultimately allowing each learner to maximize their potential to reach a high level of academic mastery. You might be wondering what variety and flexibility look like when it comes to an online class. Considering each of the three networks, here are some general questions that can be used to assess materials and some general suggestions on how to apply UDL to course materials. The main theme here is to focus on providing multiple ways for learners to utilize their unique learning networks. Now, let's look at some tangible UDL examples for each of these three networks that can be readily incorporated into an online class. Let's start with the representation network and ask, does the course material allow students to reach a high level of comprehension? If not, UDL principles suggest that presenting the content in multiple ways can help all students access it. For example, the organization of the course can be represented graphically using a flowchart rather than in plain text format. This conveys the same basic information while explicitly showing how the course material interrelates. A real benefit to having a class with an online component is the ability to make content interactive by using hyperlinks. For example, hyperlinks can be added to the course organization flowchart that allows students to readily access course information, get help when they need it, and access assignments directly. Now let's look at the action and expression network and ask, does the course material allow learners to express themselves to show what they know? Because there's variety in how students learn, providing multiple ways for learners to articulate what they know can make the course materials more accessible to all. Allowing for multiple options for students to complete assignments is a great way to apply UDL to course materials. This is an example from one of my biology courses. Learners were given lots of options. They could work independently or with a partner. They could choose their own topic and decide on the specific format for their project. Next, let's look at the engagement network and assess whether or not course materials help motivate students. Learners, of course, are motivated in a wide variety of ways. However, we do know that learners that have buy-in will also absorb the material better. Therefore, one solution is to connect course materials to real-world issues. These days, COVID-19 and the pandemic are on everyone's minds, and incorporating that topic into course materials is likely to interest many students. This is a discussion question from my current biology class that asks learners to actively engage with up-to-date information about COVID-19. The discussion generated by this question was thought-provoking and at times quite intense. In summary, UDL is a framework for teaching that assumes that learners have diverse backgrounds, interests, and needs. UDL principles can be readily applied to all learning environments, including online courses. By focusing on variety and flexibility, UDL helps educators design course materials that allow learners to utilize their own unique learning networks. This reduces barriers and increases access, resulting in more learners reaching their potential. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to learn more about UDL, here are some resources.